Back again. Now we are on part 3 of Learning Guide 11. We are going to start with looking at the multiples of these different angles. All right. So in the previous learning guide, we talked about 30s, 60s, and 45s. Now we are going to look at pi over 6, and you can remember, it's good to know it is at 30 degrees, and pi over 3 as 60 degrees. So nothing's really changing. I showed you last time we drew these special triangles and we have the exact values. You can just change the 30 there to pi over 6, and remember pi over 3 is 60. Okay, so we're just changing that up. So let's just quickly go through. So if we're doing cosine of pi over 6, so we're standing up here, pi over 6, and remember cosine is the adjacent, so it's root 3 over the hypotenuse, which is 2. All right, so I'll just go jump down here and let's do a tan of pi over 3. Well, now we're switching or shifting our feet. We're going over here now to pi over 3. And remember, tan is the opposite, which is root 3 over the adjacent, which is 1. And we can simplify that as root 3. Okay? Same thing with pi over 4. You just remember these are 45s. And so if I'm doing the sine, which is if I'm standing here, doesn't really matter which way, but if I'm standing here, the opposite over the hypotenuse. And you don't have to rationalize. I will accept this as a mark. And if you want to rationalize, it's very good. You can times it by root 2, times it by root 2 to get root 2 over 2. That is fine as well, but you can leave it like that. Now, topic 3, we're going to use those pi over 3, pi over 4, pi over 6, and shift it away from the first quadrant and find reference angles. So, if I look at this question right here, okay, 2 pi over 3. Now, what quadrant is that in? What quadrant? All right. Now, this is what I do. I'm a converter in my head. I've done it. And it helps me with the reference angle too. So I look at this pi over 3. So if it said, what is the reference angle? Well, the reference angle is pi over 3. Okay? But that 2 in front of it just means you have 2 of those. So you're going 2 times. Now I quickly convert pi over 3 into 60, and I know it's 120, and I know 120 is in this quadrant, so I know it's in quadrant 2. So I can quickly convert to degrees and get the drawing. So here, well, I look at this guy, there's the reference angle, pi over 6. And I have 5 of them, so there's a 5 in front, so, and remember pi over 6 is 30, so it equals 150 degrees, and I know 150 is over here, so it's in quadrant 2 as well. Now let's look at here, we're looking for finding the exact value. Okay, as soon as you see that find the exact value, you want to draw your special triangles because it's going to help you find the answer to these questions. So I'm staying in radians, so I'm putting pi over 3, pi over 6, 1, 2, root 3. And I remember this easily because of 3, and then straight across is root 3, so that's how I remember that one. Now, if I see that, now I want to know where the reference angle is, and I want to know where, I want to know what the reference angle is, and I want to know where and what quadrant I'm drawing this guy. So going back to the previous, remember pi over 3 is your reference angle. And we have two of those guys. So remember, pi over 3 is 60, so it's 120. So now I can draw this. All right, so 120, draw my triangle, put my reference angle in there. Now I'm going to label all the sides. So remember, root 3 is opposite this guy, and this is 2, and this is 1. Now I can answer the question. So we are dealing with the first one, cosine, which is a over h. So my a is 1, and my h is 2. So there's the answer for the first one. Now the second one over here, so let's draw this. Okay, so remember the reference angle is pi over 6, or 30. And we have 7 times 30, which is 210. So 210 is in this quadrant. All right, and I'll put my reference angle in as pi over 6. I know this is 1, 2, root 3. And now I'm doing sine, which is the opposite over the hypotenuse. So I get 1 over 2. All right. Now, I'm just going to go back because I forgot to check the cast rule. Very, very important. So just back up a step here. So let's back up to this guy. All right. And before you say final answer, I have to know if it's positive or negative. So remember, this is the all. This is the S. Okay? Which means sign is positive. So this guy gets a negative sign. So watch out. Don't forget, this is a negative pi over 2, or 1 over 2. And likewise, this is A, and this is S. This is in the T guy. So tan is positive, and this is a sign question. So this one's negative 1 over 2. Okay, so don't forget to check your cast rule. All right, so you guys can have a quick go at these guys and get the answers. I'm just going to do one of them for you guys, and then we're going to move on. And this guy is positive because it's in the ASTC quadrant. Okay, you get the idea. Now, these ones are much the same. They're just dealing with pi's over 4s. So what you're doing here is going 3 times 45 to get 135. So I know it's somewhere here. And you label as 1, 1 square root 2. All right. And then if you're solving the exact value, you draw it. So here we have 5 times 45. And remember, 5 times 45 is 225 degrees, which we know is in this quadrant. So we have 1, 1 square root 2, and a over h is cos. So we have 1 over square root 2, and it's in the t quadrant, so it's negative. All right.